All right, folks, this is my bill. I want to kind of set the table a little bit on the background on this. So last year we attempted some zoning reform and did not get it out of committee, but we transferred it into the bill into a study committee because this is a very complex topic. It's a very emotional topic, and we want to make sure that we dug a lot deeper into it. And so we did a very robust study committee starting in July, going all the way till the end of December. We had something like over 70 speakers, over 30 hours of testimony. We met several times a month. We also traveled across the state. We visited Flagstaff, Sedona, and Tucson, in addition to hosting the meetings here at the Capitol. I did not deny anyone from speaking. Anyone that wanted to speak on housing on any of the topics that we had throughout the different meetings was allowed to speak. That's why we had over 70 different presenters and contributors. We heard from cities, we heard from builders, we heard from residents, and I think we did a really good job of just kind of digging into this as much as possible. The downside to the legislative session is there's just no time to dig into complex bills like this, and homelessness is another one of those topics that a study committee would really benefit from to dig into. But I say all that to say we concluded the study committee with a report, and I allowed each member of the study committee to produce their own findings report. As the chairman and the bill sponsor, these are obviously my findings and my results. We did not vote on anything in the committee. That was not the point of the committee. The point of it was to study it, and then the board members of the committee could issue their own findings report, which they all did. And the members of that committee was a very diverse group. We had mayors on there, we had city staff, we had builders on there, we had Department of Housing on there, we had nonprofits that deal in housing on there, and then we had 4 legislative members, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats. And so that's about as bipartisan and various topics as you can get on that, because we wanted a good product. So that led up to what we're looking at today. We have a bill. It got a little confusing because we had to do it as a striker, and then we had to amend the striker. The reason we had to do a striker was to give more time for stakeholders to provide input. I could have dropped the bill as is, but we wanted more time for everybody to have it. So everyone had plenty of time with this bill and to offer their suggestions to it. That's why it's in the form of a striker and not a standard bill. So I'm going to quickly run down what this bill does before you hear from people that claim what this bill doesn't do. So first, parking minimums. We're going to be eliminating the ability of cities to set off-street parking requirements in areas zoned for residential use. Standardized development standards in single-family residential zones. So minimum lot sizes going to 4,000 square feet, so that's on average 5 to 6 units per acre. Think about townhomes and think about things like 4plexes, 10plexes, that missing middle. That's what that helps solve. Lots 40 feet or wide or greater. And then changing the setbacks. We're just trying to build more housing in smaller amounts of space to kind of deal with that infill issue that we have. Additional zoning reforms, legalizing ADUs throughout the state. This is really important to me. These are accessory dwelling units. These are the casitas in the backyard. This is your private property, and you should be able to build it, and it shouldn't have to be owner-occupied either. This is a great solution for seniors who are downsizing, maybe want to stay close to their adult kids. It's also a great solution for young people that are looking for a first place to rent that's affordable. So ADUs will be a tool in the toolbox. We are going to allow manufactured housing as long as the value is similar to the single-family homes that are within 500 feet. So the value has to be the same. Manufactured homes that are built nowadays are beautiful products that are durable and they appreciate, and they're very affordable. We're also, you must allow for construction of duplexes, triplexes, small lots, and others. So that's that missing middle again that I think will really impact that infill location. Single room occupancies, we're also allowing for single room occupancies. This is going to be a great solution for our seniors. These are our fastest growing homeless population is our seniors. And we need to make an affordable option. Single room occupancies are a great solution to that. It's a shared bathroom, shared kitchen, but this does not apply to sober living homes. All right, what else? Oh, if the application for development conforms with a voter-approved general plan, there's no public hearings because the voters have already weighed in on the general plan. That will help speed up building. Expedited rezoning process will have public hearings. It will have public hearings. People are going to come up on the dais and say that this eliminates public hearings. It does not eliminate public hearings. Application to rezone land, there's still going to be rezoning hearings to residential use. The city will determine if the application is administratively complete within 30 days. If not, they have 15 days to review a resubmittal. Application shall be approved within 90 days unless property owner in zoning area shows by clear and convincing evidence of an objective externality. And what does that mean? That's light, odor, noise, traffic, parking, or water runoff. And so these are requiring public hearings. The cities may also require planning and zoning commission hearings if within the timeframes established by this statute that we talked about. So they can still require planning and zoning commissions. We're not getting rid of that. And then there is a by right piece to building residential. So this bill, we're going to be focusing on a commercially zoned land that is within 2 miles of light rail can by right build residential, mixed use, so retail on the first floor, living on the multiple floors above, or straight multifamily. That's only on commercially zoned land within 2 miles of light rail. Around platting, final plats can be administratively approved. At-risk permits. So cities must issue at-risk permits for grading, earth moving, and infrastructure construction. So think water, sewer, things like that, after the preliminary plat submittal. So an at-risk permitting process means that the builder can keep moving with the grading and the sewage process without having to stop and waiting for the city to approve it. Now, if the city comes out and finds that they did something wrong on that grading or that earth moving or that infrastructure construction, then the builder is liable to pay for those changes that they need to make. So that's why it's called at risk. It's at risk of the developer to keep moving forward, to keep that labor force engaged. Because if you have to lay people off and then wait 2 weeks and then you're good and then you can start construction again, but then you have to wait 2 more weeks, so you have to lay off your workers and then hire them again, you can see how that increases the cost of building because you're constantly rehiring, hiring, and it slows down the process. So just when it comes to the construction, the grading, earth moving, and infrastructure construction, they can do at-risk permits. Every city will produce a city housing needs assessment, because one thing we found on the trail and during the committee hearings of the study committee was that there's no good data out there city by city as far as how many houses do you need, what's the shortage, what's your population growth as it relates to housing. So we're going to have that reported up to DOH. Residential housing design elements preemption. These are design review standards. So think about why everybody loves historic neighborhoods like Willow, who's right up the street, right? Why does everybody love historic districts? Because they don't look cookie cutter. And how did cookie cutter get established? It got established through design review standards by the cities. And so that's why every house in Phoenix looks like red tile roof, stucco in a sand color, 2-car garage, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and all these standard setbacks. So imagine what we could have if we had variety, if we didn't have government-controlled design review standards. That sounds like Soviet-era construction of housing right there. We need to let the free market, the architects, the designers, and let the buyers decide what is going to be good. Some of the things that they can decide right now in design elements, exterior colors, like I mentioned, but they can also do exterior non-structural ornamentation. They want this lamp to look just like this and move it 2 feet to the right. They can also say, I want the garage to be front and center or setback or to the right. These are all city staff that are dictating this. It's not the market, it's not the buyers, it's not the builders. They can also dictate the interior layout of different rooms and floor plans. They can also dictate what goes in the backyard landscaping-wise. Now, we are going to allow for drought-tolerant plants, things like that, but the city has no business deciding where an ornamental exterior feature is going to go in the house. The city has no business telling somebody what the backyard and front yard should look like. The city has no business saying what the architectural roof lines should look like. This is why we love historic districts, because every house looks different. And so we're going to get rid of that too. The, what else? Time frames. So residential exclusion statute that requires time frames is deleted. City sets the time frame. What else? Oh, this is really exciting. We have a rural housing grant program. We heard loud and clear on the road too that it's very difficult to build in rural Arizona for a lot of reasons. Workforce is one of them, but also the impact fees to build the sewage, the roads. These are all things that developers pay for, by the way. The cities don't pay for impact fees. The developers pay impact fees. And what happens in rural Arizona is the impact fees are very high because you have difficult terrain, long distances, and then you have a smaller build usually. So the build and paying for the impact fee of the build doesn't usually pencil out. So we're creating a rural housing development grant program where the cities can waive the impact fee that the developer would normally pay, and that would be backfilled by either the housing trust fund or the general fund in order to make housing more affordable and increase incentive to build in rural Arizona. And then finally, we are excluding any community less than 25,000 people. So it's only communities larger than 25,000 people. With that, I'm done, and we can get into our speakers.